Welcome, dear friends, to the Crimson Academy's course on the Administrative Order. In this section, dear friends, we will exploring the divine revelation, the Word of God. One of the teachings which His Holiness Baha'u'llah has unequivocally proclaimed is that the established religions of the world are divine in origin, and that their founders are the manifestations of God who, through their appearance, have in every age released into the world spiritual energies designed to uplift mankind and to further his progress. The vehicle and carrier of these energies in every dispensation has been the Word of God, revealed by his manifestations. Their word has been creative, and by virtue of its potency and influence, has penetrated into the hearts of people, thereby creating in every age a new civilization and a new race of men. The revelation of the words of God can be likened to the falling of rain. At the time that it falls, every plant is directly refreshed by its animating force. When it ceases to fall, however, the water of life can only be obtained at a reservoir created by the rainfall. Similarly, the Word of God revealed by each manifestation has given new life to those who came directly in touch with it. In every age, the creative power of the Word bestows everlasting life and the spirit of faith upon those disciples who are privileged to be in the presence of the manifestation of God. But when the prophet passes away and the vernal showers of revelation cease to pour, the faithful mass of the believers turn to the repository of the revealed Word, the Scriptures that have been left behind. In past dispensations, each believer filled his vessel from this spiritual reservoir, which contained the water of life. He first drank from it and then bestowed its life-giving waters upon others. This is how religions were taught and spread. In this analogy of the reservoir, however, if people were allowed to touch the water with their hands, to put their cups and vessels into it for the purpose of distributing it to others and to immerse themselves in its depths, then, over a period of time, the purity of the water would be lost. Similarly, by having free access to the spiritual reservoir of the teachings and the words of God, by introducing it into it unwholesome ideas, theories, and interpretations, and by mischievously manipulating the faith of God, man adulterates the water of life, and its purity is lost forever. The followers of each religion first received their inspiration from their scriptures and then imparted the healing message of their prophet to others. In old dispensations, each believer was left free to interpret the Word of God in accordance with his own understanding. Man therefore introduced his own crude ideas into the faith of God. Soon the purity of the teachings was lost. The followers were divided and schism was introduced into religion. For example, the body of Muhammad was not yet buried when his followers were already divided into two major sects, which soon produced Numerous others, the pure redeeming word of God fell into wicked hands and was manipulated for purely selfish reasons. This has been the pattern of past religions. In this dispensation, which is the consummation of past religions and cycles, and which ushers in the advent of the day of God, the revelation of Baha'u'llah has some unique features through which the unity of the community is safeguarded. One such is the authenticity and the immensity of the revealed word. Unlike dispensations of the past, all the words of Baha'u'llah were written down by his amanuensis at the time of revelation, and Baha'u'llah has himself signed or sealed the tablets containing the revealed word. There is thus no shadow of doubt about their authenticity. In contrast to what amounted to a few isolated showers in the older dispensations, the Word of God in this age poured down upon humanity in mighty torrents for a period of no less than 40 years, leaving behind the vast ocean of Baha'i scriptures. So rapid has been the revelation of the Word of God in this day that within the span of 1 hour, the equivalent of 1,000 verses was revealed by Baha'u'llah. He himself, towards the end of his earthly life, testified that if all the revealed words were to be compiled, it would produce almost 100 volumes. A second distinguishing feature is a special gift of Baha'u'llah to mankind. This gift is the person of Abdu'l-Bahá. He it was who was created especially by God to act after the passing of Baha'u'llah as a mighty container and reservoir for the great ocean of his revelation. For Baha'u'llah did not leave his word and his revelation open to all after his ascension. Rather, he entrusted them to Abdu'l-Bahá. In his will, written in his own hand, he appointed Abdu'l-Bahá as the center of his covenant and enjoined upon all the believers to turn to him in order to receive their portion of the bounties of God vouchsafed to mankind by his revelation. To no one did he give the right to interpret his writings, to add or to take away even a dot from whatever had been revealed. Only Abdu'l-Bahá could explain the meaning and the purpose of the words of Baha'u'llah. Thus, the mighty ocean of revelation, which was left behind by Baha'u'llah, was placed within the person of Abdu'l-Bahá. In order to protect it from the hands of the unfaithful, he acted as a wall around it and sealed it off from man's interference. So thoroughly did he embody and encompass the revelation of Baha'u'llah within his soul that, after the ascension of Baha'u'llah, it was only through Abdu'l-Bahá that the redeeming power of his faith and all the spiritual energies released by him could flow to mankind. Although not a manifestation of God, Abdu'l-Bahá had, by virtue of being the container of the ocean of Baha'u'llah's revelation, the authority of the manifestation conferred on him. Within his soul, this great ocean surged for 29 years, and he bestowed its life-giving waters upon thousands and thousands of men and women throughout the East and the West. During this period, however, many unscrupulous attempts were made from within the community to destroy the cause of God and to break through the walls which protected that ocean, and many an outstanding follower of the faith rebelled against the center of the covenant in order to promote his own selfish desires, to introduce his own ideas into the teachings, to divide the faith of God, and consequently to contaminate the water of life. But the covenant of Baha'u'llah was based on a very firm foundation, and the walls around the ocean were impregnable. Many heroic souls devoted and faithful served Abdu'l-Bahá with the utmost sincerity and faith. They rallied around him and like lions defended the covenant of Baha'u'llah against the onslaught of the unfaithful, so that at the end they handed down to this generation and generations yet unborn the unadulterated word of God, the pure water of life, which in the fullness of time will revivify the souls of all mankind. With the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá in 1921, the formative age began. The springtime was ended, and the early stages of the summer season were ushered in. The great, the everlasting covenant of God with mankind for this dispensation, as distinct from the covenant of Baha'u'llah with his followers, was now completed. All that God had bestowed upon mankind in this day may be said to consist of two things. One, the ocean of Baha'u'llah's revelation, which also includes that of the Bab, and the other, its container, Abdu'l-Bahá. This was God's part of the covenant. The believers in the formative age had now to play their parts as bidden by Abdu'l-Bahá in his will and testament, in the building up of institutions which were to act as channels designed to carry to every part of the planet the water of life which constituted the ocean of Baha'u'llah's revelation. This is man's part in the great covenant of God. Knowing their inadequacy and immaturity, Abdu'l-Bahá did not leave the believers alone in this task. He gave them the beloved guardian, Shoghi Effendi, whom he described as a pearl, unique and priceless, the primal branch of the divine and sacred lote tree, a light that shineth from the dayspring of divine guidance, the sign of God on earth, the guardian of the cause of God, and the expounder and interpreter of his word. During the ministry of Shoghi Effendi, the outpourings of Baha'u'llah's revelation, pure and unadulterated, reached the believers through the institution of the guardianship. The blueprint of the institutions, local, national, and international, the channels designed to carry the water of life, had already been given by Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l-Bahá. Shoghi Effendi's task was that of the builder. Following the analogy of the reservoir and the channels, it could be said that the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi acted as a pumping station, connecting the ocean of Baha'u'llah's revelation to a vast network of local and national assemblies. As the water supply is pumped out from the reservoir, first into the main channels and then into local pipes, from which pure and uncontaminated it runs into every home. Similarly, the world vitalizing forces of the faith of Baha'u'llah poured out from its world center through the guardian into the national assemblies, and through these to the local assemblies all over the world. In this way, the spirit of the faith flowed to people without being adulterated by man. With the establishment of the Universal House of Justice, some time after the passing of the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi, the crowning edifice of the administrative order of Baha'u'llah was erected. Today, the world vivifying forces of the faith, contained within the ocean of Baha'u'llah's revelation, stream out from the Universal House of Justice into a vast